Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
I'm Hannah Elliott.
And I'm Matt Miller. This is Hot Pursuit. Coming up on today's podcast.
I'm back from Las Vegas after attending the Formula One Grand Prix, and I'll tell you all about that experience. It was quite an experience. Also, my latest headache with the rolls, and I've been driving the Volvo EX90 and EX30, and Matt, I know you want to hear about that.
Yeah, I very much care, especially about that last part, because, you know, my wife had a Volvo XC90 for a 2-year lease, and she loved it so much. But for me, as I'm sure I've told you a million times, the 2-liter 4-cylinder just wasn't cutting it. And we had the hybrid version, so like it was the most powerful possible Volvo, but that part of it felt so unluxury to me that I convinced her to get a Mercedes instead. Now that has come with its own issues, most of them incredibly expensive issues.
That headlight. I remember you mentioning that headlight.
$5,000. So,
gosh.
So she has now vowed to go back to Volvo because she loves the design. I don't disagree with her on that issue.
Same.
But I think that the EX90 could solve the powertrain poverty that I experienced in the XC90, so I'm interested. Plus, we get to hear from you, our dear listener. We dip into the Hot Pursuit mailbag for your comments and answer some of your questions, as well as thank you for your participation. I've gotten so much feedback.
Yes.
We
love it.
It's really a lot of fun. And, you know, a lot of conversations started because of this. So you can always shoot us an email at...
It's hotpursuit@bloomberg.net.
hotpursuit@bloomberg.net.
Yeah.
And typically, of course, we write back. Sometimes I've noticed, like, I won't write back for a couple months.
We will, though, in the end.
Yeah, because one guy wrote in with a couple of guest suggestions, and I took them to heart, and I actually have booked the guests. But I never, like, got back to him and said, dude, great idea. Thank you for the segment. So
we should consider this the response.
I'm excited to say Nick Pinchuk, the CEO of Snap-on Tools, is going to join us at a later date.
And this was one of the recommendations, right?
Yeah, it was a recommendation.
Yeah.
You know, I've had him on my television show. He's a very outspoken CEO, but also, like, what an iconic brand, Snap-on. You know, if you're watching a race, or if you're watching a movie about a race, or if you're watching, a movie about a mechanic, or if you're in an auto shop, like Snap-on, it's everywhere, right? I mean...
Yes, I admit I was not intimately familiar with the Snap-on universe, but I know the name, and I sort of vaguely knew, oh yeah, that's that. Okay, yeah, I get it. But I don't know the details, so I'm actually really curious and excited to talk to him.
All right, so that's coming up. To me, Snap-on represents the pinnacle of tooling, and I, especially having a lot of old Ducatis, spend a lot of time in the shop, and those guys swear by these tools. Plus, I watch a lot of movies about races, and you always see the logo everywhere, but I could never find any to buy because they're not for sale at, like your local hardware store.
Sure.
It's like a B2B. It's really for professionals. So
professional grade.
Exactly. So occasionally I'll see the Snap-on delivery truck. Throughout the years, I'll see it here and there, like if I'm on a road trip or if I'm, driving somewhere, and I always will pull over and try and find the driver.
Why? Because you just want to bro out with him?
No, because if you find the truck and the guy has time, he will sell you tools.
Directly? No way.
So sometimes I'll see it and like I have a couple $100 in my pocket and I'll pull over and I'll buy like a screwdriver, because they're expensive.
So this leads me to ask, how much cash do you typically carry at any given time to spend on tools?
It's not for that. It's
well,
usually,
it sounds like you casually just dropping a couple hundos on a tool.
I carry, cash. I don't know why I carry. I don't usually need it. So
it's kind of a thing. Some people are very into carrying cash, and some people are like,
I want to always have it. I want to. Ever since my college days,
yes.
One of my older fraternity brothers was like, I always keep a hidden 100.
Yeah.
And so I always do the same thing. Like with a couple $100, I'll keep, 2 or 3 C notes folded up in a secret place in my wallet.
Secret compartment.
And that way, whenever I run into a Snap-on dude,
there you go.
I have the money.
Make my day.
All right, what else? Should we get straight into the mailbag?
Yeah.
We've had some really good emails lately. One of them is from my brother-in-law. I don't know if you saw that.
Let me pull it up. You want to say what the hello from Matt's brother-in-law?
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and read it. The thing is, I know that he listens every week, and I love the guy. He's a genius. He has an amazing business, and he has even better taste. But I'd never really bring him up on the podcast, and he's like, dude, why aren't you calling me out? You know?
You know what? And are we going to say his name?
Luis.
We're going to say, okay, we're saying it. Well, Luis, thank you for really a very kind and thoughtful email. I love how you say that you really like the contrast between us, that Hannah is more refined and Euro-oriented, while Matt shows his brutal love for American muscle and pickup trucks. I have to admit that I'm right in the middle. That makes me so happy to hear, because that's authentically who we are.
True. And who
and
he is.
we can all get along.
So
yeah,
he's,
we can all get along.
You know, Luis is from Spain, but he's an architect working in L.A., and I think it's great that he has a pickup truck. That was the first vehicle that he bought here because he's wanted to, I think, integrate better with American culture. Plus, he's a surfer, so he's always carrying the board around. And then, but since he has this elite level of taste.
Yes, well, he's European.
Yes, and I know
it's the old world.
He got advice from you and Magnus, and he picked up this amazing 911 SC. It's a 1982 SC 3.0.
Black on tan.
Yeah, and it's so cool to watch his business grow and to watch him collect these things. But one of the other things that he talks about in his email, and that we got more emails about, is the Audi RS6 that I drove last week. I can't stop thinking about it either. In both the good. So the good for me is that it can haul so much and it's so quick, and I think the design is beautiful. I wish more people, and I think you said this, would drive station wagons than SUVs.
Yes. Yeah. Get out of the arms race.
On the other hand, Audi has always had this tagline. What is it? I think it's Vorsprung durch Technik, which is like advancement through technological.
I got the technique
methods.
part.
Vorsprung durch Technik. Yeah, and the thing is, that's always been scary to me because this stuff breaks, and it costs a lot of money to fix. And they have had issues.
Okay, so I really can't comment on that because I haven't ever owned an Audi, so I don't know if that's, I have to take your word for it, I guess.
Well, or we got an email from John.
I was just looking at that.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us what John has to say?
John says that he really agrees with you, Matt. We were talking last week about the MMI, the sort of
infotainment system.
Correct. Inside the Audi. And I was saying that I really didn't like the fact that you have to push pretty hard on the screen for it to register. You can't just sort of brush it. Anyway, Matt loved it, and John agrees with Matt. He is a 5 Audi owner. And that is one thing that I've really realized. People who love Audis buy Audis and keep buying Audis. They really stay in the family. So that really is quite a testament.
But he had an issue with his first Q8, and this guy's gone through a couple of them.
Exactly.
The engine had, I guess, some kind of scroll problem, which blows up the whole block. But he managed to, through, I think, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, get it returned in some way, shape, or form. Not that the, overall company took it back, but the dealership.
Right.
And then he bought a new one, which is like, if I have a problem where my engine blows up and I've only done like 6 figures, especially since it costs 6 figures, I think I would be a little bit shy to buy another one.
Yeah, I know. But again, Audi does really engender some loyalty for the people who really love them. Also, I have to say, did you look at this photo that John sent us?
Yes.
It's a picture of he and his younger brother in about 1976. And it's the cutest, most Norman Rockwell style photo of 2 little boys in front of a 73 Mercedes-Benz SL. I can't tell which SL, but maybe.
Love it.
I can't. Anyway, I love it. Thank you for sending that.
By the way,
it's adorable.
I love it when people send pictures, obviously, of their cars.
Yeah.
And like our buddy Don, who's helping me along in the 911 air-cooled 911 search, has also sent pictures of his Porsches in the past. And he writes in this week to say I should get an SC or the Carrera 3.2. He thinks that's the sweet spot. And I don't disagree. So between like 1976 and 1988, I think is about the time period where they built the SC, and they were also treating the carrossery so it won't rust from 1976 on. And then the Carrera 3.2, everyone knows it's famous because people care a lot about getting the G50 transmission. I don't think it's that much better than the 915 if you work on the 915, but I've been hearing that a lot. Although I heard something different from Magnus. He likes everything pre-1974.
Well, and I think Don would agree with that, because Don, in your note, you actually say the newer cars may be quote unquote better, but they're also heavier, more complex. And really that is true. There's something very elegant about the simplicity of the earlier cars, both in how they drive, but then also in maintaining them. I mean, the whole thing about Porsche parts being interchangeable is really the foundation of what a lot of people, at least in California and elsewhere, that's what got them into actually working on their own Porsches, because on the earlier cars, it's all the same components. You can go to a swap meet or a flea market and buy what you need and put it in yourself. It's easy. You can work on it, and that's part of the joy. So I do see the appeal of the earlier cars.
No, 100%. I see that appeal. My main concern is that I won't be able to fit in the older cars, although I should say my brother-in-law is, I think, exactly my height. So if he fits,
totally,
I should. Also, if Magnus Walker fits,
he's about your height,
I should fit as well. I had been toying with the idea of just going back to a 991, which is what I had before. And I think it's interesting that you guys love your turbo so much, because I've been reading so much about the different generations, 991.1 and 991.2, where they go from the naturally aspirated, basically 3.8 liter inline six to a turbocharged 3 liter. And apparently, I know this also from experience, the turbocharged version is a totally different drive. Like, you're not chasing the revs higher, trying to constantly make it scream.
As many people say, you don't have to rev the nuts off it to get any type of performance. And that is really true. The thing about the earlier turbos, too, is they're not great cars in the canyons, because you have to keep the revs so high, and there's such long shifting cars. They're not as fun to drive. They're harder to drive. They're hard to get. You really have to rev the nuts off to get power where you need it. And also, counterintuitively, you have to downshift a lot of the time to go faster. So it does take some know-how, and they're just not naturally as suited. They're great for wider, longer, straight roads.
So you mean the 930 that you guys have
earlier
is not as good in the canyons?
Correct.
But the new-ish turbo that you have.
Oh, you're talking about modern cars. Sorry. I heard turbo and I'm thinking 930.
No. I mean, so you guys got that 991 turbo, right?
That's a .1.
But it's a turbo car.
Yes. It's the Turbo S, the king of the hill at that point in time. And you've now put
200,000 miles on it.
I think it's at 206, actually. Yeah.
So,
but all this to say, we should do that 911 buyer's guide.
Yeah, we got it.
Because I think people want it.
They definitely, certainly the ones who write to us do. Like, we got a message from a dude named Dale, and it just says, in the subject line, use PCAR podcast, and then the message is, please do this, period, thanks, period.
I love it. Get right to the point.
Brevity.
And you know what I also find? The shorter the email, the more powerful the person, because they get right to the point. They don't have a lot of time. So,
that's right.
Dale might actually be pretty high up the totem pole.
That's right. All right. So we will do that. And again, we thank you for writing in. We will continue to read, digest, and respond to your emails. And when we come back, we'll hear about Hannah's Rolls-Royce problems. By the way, speaking of classic cars that have issues. Plus, I'm going to get her advice on the Volvo issue. Welcome back to Hot Pursuit from Bloomberg Radio. I'm Matt Miller here with Hannah Elliott. And Hannah, you continue to have problems with your Rolls Royce, with one of your Rolls Royces. Okay. First of all, is it the same one that...
Well, this is a continuation, yes, of the same one, which is a 75 Silver Shadow long wheelbase. It's the first one that I ever got. And it's the one that I actually drive the most, unless I have a press car. And it seems like it's a lot of problems, but it's actually just the same problem that has continually been misdiagnosed by the person working on it.
Charlie?
No.
Oh, that's the problem.
This is the problem. Yeah. And so apologies if everyone is tired of hearing about the dysfunctional relationship with these cars, but I actually think it's important to talk about because I think they look very glamorous and fun. And, you know, the truth of it, too, that everybody who owns these knows is they do take some time and consideration. And this has been a particularly annoying instance where it's the same problem. The car was dying like on the highway with no warning, and you could restart it and it'd start again and drive a little bit more and then it would die. So we thought it was probably something with a fuel injection issue, a fuel pump issue. And because Charlie Agapoo, who's sort of the known mechanic, I've used him for years, we love him, he's a known mechanic in LA, he is really backed up. So instead of letting our car sit at Charlie's garage for a month or two, we want to be driving it, we went to somebody else who is in the valley, who has an earring, and he might be Irish. And, you know, I don't know, I can't decide if I'm going to name him or call him out or whatever, but we went to this other guy. I think, you know, I don't think he's crooked, but he delivered the car back twice, quote unquote, fixed, but the same problem kept reoccurring. And it's the inconvenience is because he's in the valley, he's not close, and you got to drive out there and you got to take two cars unless you want to put the car on a flatbed. It's a lot of logistical things that take a lot of time. Yeah, it's not even the expense, it's the time and inconvenience, really. So this has been, I think it was probably 2 months ago that the car first went in. Then it takes him a while to, you know, find his way around or whatever. He delivers it back to our place. Well, no, the first time he had his shop guy start to drive it to our place, and the car broke down on the way with the same problem that he had claimed he had fixed. So back to the shop it goes. Then the second time, he drops it to our place, and I go to drive it the next day, and the same problem happens again. It turns out this was not, and meanwhile, we had paid for a new fuel pump and a few other things. Turns out this was not a fuel pump issue. It was a simple issue in the fuse box where there were some crossed wires, literally, and they had not addressed. It was a fuse box issue. Anyway, the third time now that he came to deliver the car, he drops it off at night. His shop guy drops it off. And I go out there, and the whole car looks like a Jackson Pollock of white paint on the front, on the hood of the car. And they had parked it out in front of our house, and they hid the key, and they just left it like that. And I am not precious about my cars, but that was the final straw. And I couldn't believe that this person who delivered it wouldn't have enough personal pride and dignity to let anybody know this happened. Yeah. They just thought, I mean, literally it was...
But was it actual paint?
It was some sort of white, like spackle. It was obviously.
Were you able to get it off the?
Well, we called the guy, and he had to send his guy and do some sort of like deep polish buff, and they did get it off. But it was all over the hood, and it was kind of unbelievable to me that somebody would. And he claimed what happened is, quote unquote, the paint came off the back of a truck that he was following when he was dropping the car. So it just literally got white. It probably was stucco, I think it was like, it looked like white paint. It was probably stucco, some sort of construction material that literally was sprayed all over the front and sides of the car. I mean, I was sputtering.
Well, I have so many questions, Hannah.
Please.
First of all, I want to point out that we don't have a problem with guys who wear earrings. You know, if you're a grown man,
he's like 55.
I mean, it's maybe questionable.
He's
but
like
if you're a grown
55.
man and a Rolls Royce mechanic, then I have to. Is this a dedicated Rolls Royce shop? Mm-hmm. It is. So
yes.
Okay, that's weird.
Yes.
And then from on your side, I've never been to your house, but I imagine with you and your husband that you have like a giant car park filled with Corvettes, Rolls Royces, and Porsches. Like, why not leave your Rolls Royce at Charlie's for 3 months? Because you don't have a shortage of vehicles from which to choose.
I know, but you tend to have favorites, don't you?
You do.
This was my favorite. And, you know, you cannot explain the emotional connection. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just the one I like,
yeah.
and I wanted it. It's a fair point. And, yeah, I learned my lesson. I will wait for Charlie.
I also wonder, because I always look at these classic or, you know, decades-old cars and think, God, I'd love to have that. But because I'm such a coward, like in so many different parts of my life.
Maybe you're wise. Maybe you're not a fool.
I'm always afraid and I always think about you and this old Rolls Royce, because you've had it for like 10
5 years. Well, 5 years.
5?
I actually counted. Only 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you've not had any like seriously expensive problems with it, right? You've never had to take it to Charlie and he's like, that'll be $15,000.
No. This whole thing, which was a 2-month rigmarole, and for sure the most I've ever spent was $5,000.
Well,
that included buying a fuel pump that wasn't needed, and
so
now we have a new one.
What you tell me about your experience with these cars is what makes me lean into maybe getting over my fears and buying one myself. But then, I mean, this story isn't that bad because you've.
No, it's not. It's not really that bad.
You've made some bad choices in order to end up here, right?
Yes, I take full response. I've learned my lesson. It could have been this is very obviously first world problem. It's not. What really bothered me was the mentality of a person who would disrespect
I get it.
a Rolls Royce and have no personal pride enough to just make a call, even try to cover it up. Why not even the effort to try to cover it up? And I'm like, I'm the little old lady who has one car that she drives to church on Sunday, and this is the car. And I just felt like, how is this possible?
I totally get. You know,
this is
when
the problem.
In 2016, I moved to Berlin, and I had my 911 shipped over there, and then from the docks, I had it delivered to the Porsche dealership in Berlin. And over there, like the company owns the dealerships. It's not like here with a franchise model. Mm-hmm. And they had to make some changes to make it road legal in Germany. And they listed all these changes that they needed to make, said it was going to cost 10,000 euros, and then left the car outside in a parking lot just completely covered in crap. And I realized that they actually didn't need to make all of those changes. And I couldn't believe that they left it so dirty. And I actually was so angry I wrote a letter to the board.
No way.
And the board confirmed my suspicion that you don't need to make $10,000 worth of changes. It's more like, a few $100s worth of things. And that they should also clean the car. So
there's something to that.
Making a little noise sometimes helps.
Yes, there is something to that, and I am not a fastidious person. I am truly. If you saw my house, it's almost Grey Garden sometimes over there. But I am not uptight about that sort of thing. But you're right. It's when you're paying for a service and they've already messed up. The least they can do is make sure the car is clean and
Exactly.
proper.
No, they got to clean the car before they deliver
it just, and this was like beyond cleaning. This was, I mean, I was glad that we were able to fix the situation. But so did you get your money back?
Yeah.
On that
no,
10 grand?
they did me right.
Good.
Until I left
Squeaky wheel.
Germany. Then I had to sell that because, when I moved there in 2016, it was like a little over $4,000 to ship the car, which was why I figured that's a no-brainer. I'll bring the Porsche back to its home where it belongs, and drive it right. When I moved back to the U.S. in 2021, it was like 20 grand to ship it back. So I thought, I'm going to just sell it instead. So I took it to the same place. And partly because of me being so disorganized, they made me a lowball offer that I took. I kind of regret it. But I used that chunk of that change to buy my house. I just sent you this car that I've been looking at on Bring a Trailer. And I'm always looking at these older Ferraris and scared that, they go for fairly affordable prices, sometimes, less than $100,000 for cars that look so clean and beautiful. And I figured the reason that they go for so little, the same is true of like a Bentley Continental, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the buyer is going to inevitably have to put tens of thousands of dollars into it. Mm-hmm. I think of your Rolls Royce and it kind of assures me that maybe I won't have to. But I saw this 1985. It's a European spec Ferrari 308 GTS.
It's so pretty.
To me, when you say Ferrari, this is what I think of.
Yes.
Because I grew up watching Magnum PI, and I desperately want one of these cars. Ever since I drove that 355, which is admittedly a newer version, I've heard that wail. I used the gated shifter, and I want one myself. But this guy has what looks like the cleanest 308 you've ever seen, and he says in the comments that he hasn't changed the timing belts in 13 years. 13 years.
I see that.
It's insane because you're supposed to. Ferrari said you should change them every 3 years, and then people are like, every 5 years is fine. Maybe if it's a newer belt, they last longer, I guess. So you could get away with 6 or 7. But
those are going to need some attention.
Yeah, and then I've had this fear that it's going to cost $10,000. But apparently, you don't have to take the engine out of this thing. Okay. And some brave souls just order a belt and do it themselves in the garage.
Wow, that's what they just watch a YouTube video or.
Yeah, I'll post this. By the way, I'll post this. I'll post a picture of this on my Instagram so you can see how beautiful.
It's so
and plus,
pretty.
There's a couple days left in the auction, so you can tell me if I should bid or not.
And this has no recorded accidents.
No.
39,000 miles shown.
Yep. I'm sure it's not going to be a fast car, right? It's less than 3-liter V8.
Right.
Since it's a car from 1985, it has, I think, 230 horsepower. It says in the ad somewhere.
Nice.
But you know what? It's
so cool. It doesn't matter.
It's so light. It's so cool. And the point of it is, when I think you made a comment last week about the Porsche Cayenne EV. Barry Ritholtz is like, it's over 1,000 horsepower. And Porsche
Who cares?
Porsche has been posting on Instagram that it goes 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. But you made a point that a microwave is going to cook your food faster, and yet
here we are out in the backyard
grilling it up. So I don't care about the speed. I just want to have the sound and the vibes and the experience of getting there.
Totally.
On the other hand, I don't want a basket case, right? And the other problem with this, for me, this is where the height comes into it. I'm 6'3". I think Tom Selleck was 6'4". So a little bit taller than me, but apparently Magnum PI was filmed for 8 great seasons. What an amazing show. And Ferrari, initially Tom Selleck, wanted a Porsche 928. And Porsche refused to give them a car for the filming.
Why?
I don't know. Porsche was, as Doug DeMuro says, Porsche was like a hobby shop. That wasn't a real business at the time. It was just a group of guys that liked to make cars in Germany.
Yeah.
So I guess they didn't see the business opportunity. Ferrari, on the other hand, was like, yes, we'll give you a new car every season. So every season they gave him a new 308. That way it was updated. And maybe, I don't know, how late the show went. Maybe it went to a 328 eventually. But the one thing that they had to do to customize the car was they had to shave the foam off the seat and then put in new rails to move the seat even further back than it was.
Oh, interesting.
And also, anytime they filmed Tom Selleck in the car, they had to take off the target top because still his head didn't fit under the roofline.
Well, that is a real consideration. And what got me my first classic car that I owned was a SL Mercedes. And the true reason why I never kept that car for very long was because it was too short for me. And I think it had some seats that weren't original and they were overstuffed, but I could never get comfortable in it because my head was touching the roof. So it's a valid concern because that just completely colors your whole experience with the car. If you're not comfortable in that seat, even if you can technically fit into it, I get it.
All right, that covers the classic cars. We're going to talk about the new stuff when we come back. The new is Hannah's trip to Las Vegas. Yeah. She went to see the Formula One race. We'll hear all about the dramas surrounding that in Sin City and the Volvo EX90 and EX30s that she's driving. I'm Matt Miller with Hannah Elliott. You're listening to Hot Pursuit. I'm Matt Miller with Hannah Elliott. You're listening to Hot Pursuit, and I never thought we would do one segment where we mention Volvo and Formula One in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Because,
kind of a funny pairing.
I mean, I feel like, I remember when Håkan Samuelsson, who was the CEO and now I think is the CEO again globally, they brought him back. At one point, he said they never need to make their cars go over 180 kilometers an hour.
Interesting.
Because they felt like their clientele that's not why you buy a Volvo, which is fair.
That's interesting.
Which is fair.
Sure.
Although it just kind of bummed me out because, on the Autobahn where you would, see many Volvos.
Yes.
A lot of places you want to be able to do 200 at least. I
also think some of the wagon bro contingent could really get into going quick in a Volvo wagon. Right. And now that you have the EV versions, they do go very fast, much like the Cayenne EV. They have the instant torque like every EV, and they probably can do 0 to 60 in less than an old Carrera. I have to say, you may be disappointed again.
All right, so let's hear about the EX90 because the design is gorgeous, right?
I love it. I think if you have to get a big SUV, especially if it's an electric SUV, you could do far worse than the Volvo EX90. If we're going to talk about that one first, I don't know how I feel about the wheels. The one I drove, they're very blade-like. They're of course optimized for aerodynamic efficiency. Let me know what you think, Matt, when you pull it up. I will say, to your point, now the EX90 comes in, a twin motor and a twin motor performance. They both cost over $80,000, which is a little bit expensive, and they both weigh about 6,000 pounds. So a lot of the power that we get from the electric battery is eaten up by the weight. And Volvo is saying on their website that 0 to 60 is 5.7 seconds, which isn't ideal.
It's not lightning quick, but it's still
not lightning quick.
It's faster than that Ferrari 308. 0 to 60.
Yeah, but I think we both know which one we'd rather be seen in.
Yeah.
But all that to say, if you're going to get a big electric SUV, I think the Volvo EX90 is a really strong performer. You should certainly consider it. I actually love the interior, which is it's very minimal. There is a big screen in the center, but they really keep it to one screen, and the rest is very light and airy. And I will be posting pictures of these on my Instagram account. It's Hannah Elliott XO, so you can see, for instance, the wheels and the interiors.
The wheels are like pinwheels. Do
you like that or no?
Not at all.
I'm not necessarily a fan. Yeah, I did ask on Instagram, if people liked them, and a lot of people do like them. So I understand there is an appeal. But I also thought on a different note, the interior of the EX90 was really beautiful too. They are not using leather now. They're using all natural textures and renewable materials. And the interior seats of this car are like a really beautiful, it looks like cashmere. It's not. It's a gray. It's a very nice chic
I like the
gray.
sculpted look of the seats.
Me too.
When I hear that they're not using leather, I always go back to your comment on luxury,
Yeah,
where you point out that they have to be real materials. Now, okay, if it's cashmere or if it's any kind of wool or cotton,
Sure.
that's a real
Sure.
material, and they do, I'm sure, use real wood. I mean, it looks like they could use teak wood in a Volvo.
Yes, and I know I need to check on this, but in previous vehicles they've also used like cork before, which
Yep.
is interesting. And also there are some companies, I think Volvo's done this too, where they use like recycled paper products. In the EX30, that's the smaller electric SUV that I also drove, they did an interior with recycled denim that I also thought looked very cool. And the EX30, if we're going to pivot to that for just a second, it actually starts at 38 grand, a little over 38 grand. It's like 38, 350, something in there, which I can't believe it's that inexpensive a price for an EV SUV. It's a small, but I thought that was really fair.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? How much of it is made in China would be my first question to the CEO.
Does that matter? I mean,
It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care about the region, but a lot of Americans will have a problem with that. I should say it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
But a lot of people will have real problems with that, and I think
the EX30, I should say, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The EX30 is made in Belgium. The EX90 is made in China and also Ridgeville, South Carolina.
Wait, do you not mean the other way around? The EX30 is made
in Belgium.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I see, because they had produced it in Zhangjiakou in China, and I guess they're shifting production.
They moved it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But of course,
Yeah.
Volvo is owned by Geely, which is why I would ask the question.
Sure, of course.
And I don't care where it's made, but I do want it to be quality. And you just, maybe it's a stereotype that's informed by prejudice. I just feel like, where'd they make them before? Gothenburg in Sweden.
Yes.
I just
well,
feel
they still make some of their vehicles there,
Right.
just not these.
You get the sense that those old like 240s were over-engineered and incredibly high quality.
Yes.
I drove my 240 station wagon for I think 250,000 miles without changing
amazing.
the oil.
Amazing. Well, I was going to ask if the China thing for you was more of a political stance or more of a quality and materials.
No, 100% quality. I have
Got
no
it.
political issues, and I also recognize that in some ways the Chinese have mastered copying production methods as well. So for some
Yes.
products, they make them just as well as anybody else.
Everybody says the BYD cars in particular are astounding, and I really want to get into one.
Yeah,
'Cause everyone says it's incredible.
I hear that from
they're doing.
U.S. CEOs.
Yes.
So, but there's something that a lot of Americans will not appreciate about a Chinese-made car. I mean,
Sure,
for
there's
one
still
thing,
a stigma.
labor standards just are not the same in China as they are in the Western world. So it depends how you feel about what people are getting paid, what they're being made to do. But that's one way to keep the cost down, and that's for
Yes.
decades. That's what we've done. So it's interesting. To me, the combination of not engineering it for speed, keeping the cost down by doing a lot of manufacturing in China, and then I look at the interior, which the design of it has always been beautiful, but they kind of miss the mark on the infotainment with me every time. And in the new vehicle as well, the EX90 has a giant, vertical screen like a big Ford Lightning or like a
Yes.
Dodge, Ram TRX, which are not I'm not saying I don't like those products, but I don't like this huge vertical screen like someone just glued an iPad to the middle of my dashboard.
I agree. I actually do agree with that. And I think it's a miss that you have to go in multiple layers into the screen in order to adjust side mirrors and in order to adjust the steering wheel. You have to literally punch through multiple layers in that system before you can even adjust. I think that's a miss. I think you should have some sort of tangible
I mean, we've talked about it a million
something.
times, and I think most automakers are realizing they need to turn this back.
That,
it's just
that
hard.
Type of thing.
It takes forever
hard
to do it. And
Yeah.
But it's a great contrast to Formula One because they've got a button for everything in those cars.
Yeah, they do. And it was kind of a wild weekend. I mean, we don't have to report the news. Everyone knows Max Verstappen won and also kind of now has a chance to win the whole thing. There are 2 races left. So it was both McLaren cars were disqualified. They were canceled. They were disqualified in the main race.
Zach Brown has not been canceled yet.
No, he has
That's
not.
That's a Christian Horner thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But I will say this weekend at F1 was so intense. The amount of corporate partnerships, Matt, that are happening is insane. And I'm not just talking about the $1 billion partnership with LVMH and Mattel and Hot Wheels. I'm also talking about the Lego partnership, the Hello Kitty partnership with F1 Academy, which I have a lot of mixed feelings about.
Wait, F1 Academy is for women racers, right?
I hate the term women racer.
Okay,
even
sorry.
that is offensive. No, it's not your fault.
Female racers?
No.
Lady racers?
The term is racer.
But you're not allowed to be a dude, right? They can't be a dude.
Why is the default dude? You don't say woman doctor. You don't say lady journalist.
No, because
you say journalist.
No,
you say
fair.
racer.
Okay, but listen, Formula One, the main series, there's no gender limit. You can be whatever gender the team wants, right?
I love a trans driver. Why
but
not?
in F1 Academy, there is a specific gender that you have to be or identify as before you're allowed to race, right? Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong.
Okay.
I have turned this over in my head since they announced it. It's led by Susie Wolf, who is married to Toto Wolff, who we all love. We love Susie. We love Toto. They're a power couple. They're amazing.
They smell delicious.
Yes, they're got
so well dressed,
clean teeth and polished hair, and they sleep every night 10 hours, and they're perfect.
But
I have so many mixed feelings about this whole academy.
I think it's great.
Why? It's segregated.
It is.
I'm instantly going to take the opposing view of you just because it's my knee jerk.
Thank you.
But
it is segregated, but I think it's okay to do it for a little while women need a leg up, or rather a more specific funnel to get them onto the real Grand Prix center stage. Because right now there's probably some kind of institutional...
I'm twitching. Keep going. Keep going.
Sexism that exists and keeps them out of the main event. I'm trying my hardest to argue from the left here.
So how does keeping them in their own series fight the sexism that is keeping them out of the main event?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you.
Here's the problem I have with it.
Even worse is getting Hello Kitty to be a sponsor.
I agree.
I mean, do all the cars have to be pink as well?
It's so infantilizing.
Yes.
On the Hello Kitty, I'll address that first. The Hello Kitty, I understand on the one hand, you're trying to get little girls excited about racing, so Hello Kitty makes sense. And you have a Hot Wheels partnership, you've got a Lego partnership, Hello Kitty is another toy, sure. But there's something just kind of revolting to me as a red-blooded woman to have a pink baby doll, Hello Kitty, attached to the women's only driving academy, because it gives yet another avenue to just brush it off as it's for girls. And I think you want to be taken seriously as a racer and as a driver, and you don't want to give any opportunity to just be brushed off. And I feel like there's a little bit of we can pat ourselves on the back as F1 because we've created this academy, so we've done the good thing, and we're supporting women, and we're supporting our goals, and now we can move on. And it seems it's not performative. It's bringing in a lot of money, and it's allowing people like, for instance, Leah Block, who's actually going to leave this. She announced she's leaving the series. This is Ken Block's daughter. Ken Block is an amazing driver.
Gymkhana.
Exactly. His daughter has been in the series for 2 years. She's actually leaving the series, she announced. Of course, it gives them exposure and experience. But here's the problem. Leah Block does off-road driving and rallies. She had not even been brought up racing or driving in karts, and she was coming at it from a completely different avenue. Why not just get little girls in karts the same as little boys would be in karts? Why do you I don't here? And the other thing,
I don't disagree. I just feel like
why
there are
not
probably
just
smarter,
bring them up in the same avenues,
better equipped people to take the other side. Because I think you're
Well,
it's in a lot of senses it's reverse sexism.
Yes, it can bring in money. It's certainly good for partnerships. It will bring in money. But here's another problem. On Friday night, or was it Saturday? Saturday. They had the academy drivers out on track, and 2 of them crashed into each other before the race even started. And that, to me, is a sign that they're not prepared to be there. How are they not being supported by their trainers and their teams that they're crashing before the race starts?
Yeah.
How is that good for anybody? And I don't even fault the drivers. I fault they're not being prepared. So this maybe gets me in trouble, but I want to obviously see some women Formula drivers, but I'm not sure this is the avenue.
I hear you. Although I will say that even the most experienced drivers can have those kinds of accidents. In MotoGP, last weekend we saw an accident on the starting grid before the race started, because one rider ran into another. He just wasn't paying attention.
Yes. And
both of those riders were experienced, have been in MotoGP for years and years.
Yes. So
it does happen, but
yes.
you're totally right.
It's true. And it does happen. It could happen to anyone. It could happen to Lewis Hamilton. But the problem is those drivers, they have to be they have to be perfect, because as any woman knows, when you're in a field that's dominated by men and you're one of the few women, every mistake you make is going to be a reason to not let you in. And it's unfair, but it's true. And it's I remember when I started writing about cars, one editor who I really love and respect, told me, don't wear baseball hats when you're on camera, because you're young and you're a woman and it makes you look even younger. And the bottom line is people are going to look for any reason to discredit you, discount you, not pay attention, and don't give them any reason not to. And I don't know if that's fair or unfair, but that's kind of reality.
Well, I applaud you, Hannah Elliott. And on that note, I say we bring this conversation to a close. That does it for this week's show. Remember to follow and subscribe to Hot Pursuit on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen. Remember to tell your friends to search Bloomberg Hot Pursuit. Bloomberg Hot Pursuit on Apple, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us, of course, on Bloomberg.com as well. And email us at hotpursuit@bloomberg.net. Tell us what you think about the F1 Academy and Hello Kitty.
You can also check out my columns and stories on Bloomberg.com and the Bloomberg Business app. Go there for car reviews, events, and stories that you won't find anywhere else. You can find it all at Bloomberg.com/pursuits/autos. And also, shouldn't we say people should watch your show, Matt? I mean, it's not car related necessarily, but
you can
every day on Bloomberg
my show
TV.
Every day from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Open interest.
Yes.
On Bloomberg Television. I occasionally make remarks about cars. I mean, automotive trade is global trade.
You got a face for TV, Matt.
And actually today I was talking to a global strategist at Morgan Stanley, and she was talking about a recent trip to China and the AI chip-making battle. I brought up the Porsche Cayenne EV. Because I think...
On camera? On air?
Yes, because, the idea, a lot of the angry commenters on social media have said, look, this is a giant SUV EV that looks meh. I might as well buy something from China, if this is what I'm going to get from Porsche. And I asked her if the same was true of, AI chatbots, because she was saying a lot of them work just as well, if not better than ChatGPT or Gemini 3, but are more efficient, cost less, and use less energy. So you might as well choose China.
Is that what she said?
Yeah. And she also told me that she had been in the Xiaomi factory, this she told me off camera, and that she was really impressed by the design, by the build quality, and she had test driven one at the factory and said, obviously the acceleration is just great in that EV like it is in any other. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
We got to get over there.
Otherwise, don't watch my show. I'm Matt Miller, along with Hannah Elliott. We'll be back in your podcast feed again next week.